feel tired already just listening to that. But 45 years of yoga practice, of course, as we all know as practitioners, what a wonderful way to feel energized, and we don't need to be convinced of the health-giving benefits of our regular sadhana. On behalf of Yoga Australia, I'd like to thank Rajendra and the full Vasudeva Kriya organisation for the insight and the hard work in putting together a conference like this. I've been involved in the Yoga Australia conference for its 4 years and know the amount of work that goes into it. It's huge. Whether you have a conference with 5 speakers and 50 people, or 20 speakers and 300 people, the work's the same. It's a huge amount of work, so great kudos to you, Dhanyawad, for your efforts. It's particularly pleasing to be able to share with you this morning on behalf of Australia's peak and governing body for yoga teachers. It's taken a long time for the field of yoga in Australia to mature to the stage to which it now has such a body that believes in the unity of diversity, that brings together, accepts and engages and encourages and embraces yoga teachers from all styles and all traditions. At this point in time in Yoga Australia, we have over 80 styles and traditions of yoga represented in our teaching base. We have just on 70 teacher training programs registered. We have nearly 2,500 registered teachers. And as of the beginning of this year, we now have, with a registration status, we're being regarded by the health insurance organisations, some medical organisations, some health support organisations such as heart foundations, cancer foundations, etc. now saying if you want to be regarded as a yoga teacher in Australia, then really you need to be a registered teacher of Yoga Australia, because we are the organisation that is trying to support, further the aims of yoga generally, support the teachers and hold up a set of standards for credibility, because yoga has reached the stage now where we can stand up proud and say we have high credibility. And part of that credibility is coming together for conferences such as this, where people learn. And I was speaking with Jan earlier, who's coming along. He's a yoga student, but he has the burning desire to go further, to become a yoga teacher. This is how it starts. We come to conferences, we go to our teachers, we listen to them, we explore possibilities, we eventually train, then we join organisations and we support yoga. Because don't we all want the whole world to be practicing yoga? Who doesn't want the whole world to be practicing yoga? Good, no hands went up. Doesn't mean they're all doing asana, all doing Surya Namaskar, but we want them to be practicing yoga. And this is something I'd like to highlight as we think about today. Certainly this conference is about, particularly, mental health. So there's a yoga therapy overtone to the conference. But what is yoga to us? Is yoga simply doing beautiful asana? Is yoga simply doing puja? Is yoga dhyana, meditation? Is it our seva, our service? And of course it's all these things. It's our family life. But yoga becomes the software of our life. And I think we're all here because yoga is the software of our life. And if we can continue that by having the urge and the impetus in our own lives, whether we're students, whether we're teachers in training, whether we are teachers, and to be able to live that through our own lives so that we can then pass that on to everybody we meet. As we all know, yoga is not just about learning information and then just parroting it off. There is a certain transmission that occurs when we practice yoga, when we live yoga, when we impart yoga to people, when we sit with a teacher, when we sit with a practitioner of yoga chikitsa, yoga therapy. It's not just they are giving us this posture, this Ayurvedic preparation or a particular mantra. It's that we're sitting with somebody who is embodied their yoga sadhana for years and years and years at the Abhyasa. And we find ourselves being imbued, being just somehow, we're sucking in something of what that person has to offer. And it's through our dedication to our sadhana. That's the word tapas. Some of you are familiar with the word tapas, coming from that word to cook. This is what we're doing. We are really cooking our personal transformation through our sadhana. And there is no other way to be a practitioner of yoga and achieve whatever the results, whether we want chitta vritti nirodha, kaivalyam, samatvam yoga uchyate, any of the wonderful descriptions of what yoga is about, whatever our goal, it has to start with our own tapas, our own dedication and passion and zeal to our sadhana. Now, I know I'm preaching to the converted, but sometimes it's good. I know I love hearing the basics all the time. It reminds me to come back to home base. But as we move into the day and get regaled by our wonderful presenters, Rajendra, of course, we're blessed that he comes to Australia so often. It's so rare that we have the opportunity to have such highly esteemed teachers and researchers as Rajendra. We are really blessed that he comes so often. And of course later today we'll have Stephen Penman, who's some of you are quite aware of Stephen's work in the field of yoga and his research, Dr. Mark Cohen, Dr. Vicky Katsourelis. These are the leading lights of well-being in Australia. So we are blessed to be sitting amongst them and learning with them. But when we sit today and listen and absorb, it would be good if we could do it from a position of understanding what yoga is to us and really what are we doing here. Sometimes we come along because, oh, this person said come along, or my teacher said come along, or someone says that'll be fun, or come and listen to Leigh Blashki, here's a bit of a laugh, or whatever. You've got to know what you're coming for. And I'm going to ask you now to spend 2 or 3 minutes, to take a couple of minutes now, just to close your eyes, or leave them open if that feels right for you, and just come into your own understanding of what it is that brings you here today. What is it about yoga, your understanding of yoga itself, how it acts upon your mind and your body, your life? Have you come along with a specific goal in mind? I want to learn this thing. Or is it that you've come along because this is a wonderful opportunity to sit in Sangha? To know that whatever we do, we have some sense of intention. And that we can listen, learn, feel, experience from that place of that intention. And to know that others have their intention. They might not be exactly the same, but by simply all coming together with our own intention, what occurs is a collective intention forms. And we do get that lovely Sangha occurring. So it was with great honour that I invite you to enjoy the day's proceedings. It is with great honour and respect that I welcome all the other presenters today, and I am personally honoured to be here to represent Yoga Australia as the peak body for yoga and yoga teaching in Australia. We've done a lot of work over the years to progress our field and our profession to this level. And it is a great privilege to represent this wonderful organisation and to be part of another wonderful organisation in putting on this great conference for us today. So thank you, Dhanyavad, and please enjoy the day.